holed up in our own homes tonight, communicating via futuristic communication devices, broadcasting real-time imaging between each other onto our robotic thinking devices. This Zoom on our laptops that our alien overlords have called us saves us having to get off our asses, so that can only be a good thing. It's the Carlisle Cult Cinema Sci-Fi Special. Hey!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And as you heard there, it's a British Sci-Fi special. And we have a special guest with us as well this evening. One of my old teachers and good friend now, Stephen Hatcher. Welcome
Hello.
to the Carlisle Cult Cinemacast.
Well,
Obviously, we've also
no,
got the normal two idiots waffling
normal.
dads. Well, if you call it that. And you're getting to see them for the first time because you've seen my ugly mug. So now you get to see me. And welcome, Miss Stephen Hatcher.
Hello, PD. Hello, lads. It's good to meet you too, and nice to see you again, PD, after a long time. Hey, and fancy me back in Carlisle, at least virtually, if not actually in person, after a
Well,
long
that's it.
time.
That's it.
Yeah, good
Um,
stuff. It took the
for
aliens to
anybody,
bring me back.
that's it. Stephen Hatcher was one of my teachers at secondary school way back in the 80s. Yes, we are that old. Um, and my favourite teacher I ever had, to be honest. And he's a
Oh,
proper legend. And a
oh,
massive Doctor Who fan and British Sci-Fi fan. He's
geek is
also
the word
a
you're looking for.
writer.
Yeah.
Eh?
Geek is the word you were looking for. Massive geek.
Well,
It
aren't we
could have
all?
been a lot
Yeah.
worse.
Well, yeah. Well, this is it. But absolute proper legend. And he's also a writer on We Belong Dead, along with me soon. I'll be making my
Me,
debut in there next year on
me.
a last voyage of the Demeter and the first 15 films of Godzilla.
There's a rule, you know. Don't talk about it until you've actually written it.
Right, okay. Let's go then. Oh no, I must admit, I've wrote at least half of the Demeter one already.
Oh, brilliant. Lovely.
So I'm kind
I've
of
got
catching up again.
I think I've got 5 pieces to write for two upcoming issues, and I haven't written a word on any of them yet. So, so I'm not saying anything about it.
I've got, right, I've got a little while left yet, so you know what I mean. And then we've got the Godzilla thing, which I'm looking forward to. So, and I want to do a Godzilla episode of these boys.
Yeah.
Hence why my pick was the pick a pit. And I'll tell you something, there's some absolute crackers tonight. We've all picked, I mean, starting from 1961, and the most recent one is 2010. And yeah, everyone's picked some absolute classics. So let's get started with my first one from 1961, directed by Eugene Laurie. And I think that's how you say it. Starring Bill Travers, William Sylvester, and Vincent Winter, who plays the young lad. And you know, this is often referred to as the British Godzilla, and it's Gorgo. And it's a kind of a cross between Godzilla and King Kong. Because it's got the King Kong thing of them selling kind of, you know, putting Gorgo in the fair and all that. But it's absolutely fantastic film. I saw Gorgo before I seen Godzilla. So, because Godzilla was never really on the TV until the kind of 80s. You never really got Godzilla on TV until about the 80s. I never seen it. So I'd seen Gorgo beforehand. My dad had got us up to watch it. He said, "You like this, son? British monster movie." And I did. Fantastic. Gorgo's got a great design. And it starts off in the Irish Sea. And local fishermen are getting attacked by this thing. There's been a disturbance and there's all these weird fish have appeared. And then local fishermen are getting attacked and killed by this thing. And an American guy, I think he's American, captures him. Him and his mate take him down back to London, set him up in circus basically, and people are looking and pointing. And it's a man in a suit and it looks great. And then Mother Gorgo comes to get a young. and kicks the shit out of London. Absolutely destroys it. Some great miniature work. Clocking in at about 80 minutes. So, I mean, it's not a long film and it wastes no time in getting into the action, really. It's got excellent creature design. I mean, well, for 1961, you know what I mean? Obviously inspired by Godzilla, as you can see the kind of look. But I like the kind of ears it's got, which make it look a bit more aquatic.
Is this the Chewits advert?
No, it's not the Chewits advert. You know what I mean? Swine hunt.
That's Turner's bus station.
That's it. But it's a British, Irish, and I think is it French or something like that? There's 3 different countries involved in it. It's going to be set in Paris at one point. It's going to be set somewhere else. But it was all about how to get Gorgo walking into somewhere.
Yeah.
The big mother Gorgo. So this basically thought London would be the best, kind of, because it can come straight in from the sea, straight up the Thames estuary, is it?
Yeah.
And straight into London and destroys everything. Literally, Big Ben into matchbooks. And it's really well made. It doesn't get enough love. It's not had a British release for a long time. It's just had a 4K release in the States, which I picked up. And it just doesn't get enough love. I mean, have you boys all seen it? You've seen it.
I've seen Gorgo, yeah.
I saw
it.
I watched it when you said you'd picked it for this. Because I must have seen it years ago. I must have done. And it's huge fun, isn't it? I mean, whether it's a sci-fi film, PD, I might pick you up on that.
According to IMDb, it says sci-fi.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's a nice monster film. It's a nice creature feature. And as you say, the miniature work when it's destroying London is lovely. That works really well. Bill Travers is great. Great to see Bill Travers in anything. Most well known, I suppose, these days for Born Free, the lion film. And Gorgo doesn't look any less realistic than the lions in Born Free. It has to be said. Yeah, so he was a bit of a star at the time, was Bill Travers. This was not just turn out the nearest guy who fell out of the local rep theatre. This was a proper star,
movie star.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a great film, and I mean the bits where they've got the creature on the back of the flatbed. You know, because imagine, and that was filmed in London. Can you imagine what folk would have been thinking at the time when they saw that? Because they'll think, what the actual? You know, they'll have thought it was real. A lot of people until they realised, you know, it was for a film that come out.
But would they though? Would they have thought that?
Well, back then you don't. You know what I mean?
Would they?
Back then you don't know. You thought the film 1960. Hey, I probably would have believed it if I'd seen it and been a child.
It was good. It's a good fun film, and the only thing that could have made it just a little bit better was a plot.
Yeah, because basically stole from Godzilla.
Yeah, except how they solve it this time, isn't it? It's baby turns up. Well, they don't solve it, does it? It's baby turns up, and baby goes mama, and Gorgo goes baby, and they wander off into the sea together, back into the sea. End of film.
Was it called Gozuki?
That's all right.
Gozuki, that's it.
Gozuki.
It is. It doesn't get. I just think it doesn't get enough love and mentioned enough.
It's good fun.
As a British kaiju film, basically, and that wasn't even about that. It's just, as Steve said, a feature. But anyways, I'll get to a bit of trivia. And then we'll pass on to Worcester. Let's see. It was one of 15 films released in '61 to be considered for an Academy Award for special effects. The British poster had lobby cards with the face of Gorgo, because it wasn't revealed. And that's why the whole thing about the Gorgon, because that's why it was named after the Gorgons of Greek mythology. And if you looked at a Gorgon, you'd turn to stone. So that's why they didn't put the creature's face on the poster to start with. Reportedly, Gene Simmons is a massive fan, and his boots.
Now, which Gene Simmons?
From Kiss.
Oh, right. Not Gene Simmons from Spartacus. No,
No,
I can't see.
No, Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Because they were often mistaken for each other, you'll understand.
Well, of course, they look so alike.
Yeah.
Especially when Gene's in his demon makeup.
Yeah, that's it. The amount of job offers that the wrong Gene Simmons got there.
I can imagine. But yeah, his boots are reportedly based on Gorgo's head. So there you go. Gene Simmons based his boots on Gorgo's head. It's hilarious. It's just.
I'm just picturing the other Gene Simmons in Spartacus now, though. That's the thing. In full makeup, the whole thing. Yeah.
In full makeup, boots, guitar, looking the part, breathing fire.
Looking up at Spartacus on the cross outside Rome, as at the end of the film. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. There was a back tie-in, which was done by the same guy who done the Conga tie-in novelization, and Steve Ditko did the comic book. I think he did the Conga one. And there was a Reptilicus one as well. Which, can you remember that one? Anybody? Reptilicus?
No.
Reptilian, did you say? Sorry.
And Conga. No, Reptilicus. Conga was kind of trying to be a British Kong as well. Slightly Joe Young.
Congo.
But yeah, so there we go.
Oh, that was a lot later. It was Mike. Oh, right, okay, different film I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of one with talking gorillas.
You cut out a bit on my thing, so I kind of missed that. But
yeah,
Congo. I know which one you're talking about.
It's by the fellow who wrote.
In it.
Yeah, and written by the fellow who wrote Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton.
Yeah. Great film, to be honest.
Good fun, good book as well.
I've not read the book.
I imagine that.
We're not
talking about that.
Yeah, Tim Curry's in that as well.
No, I thought it was.
Yeah, Tim Curry's in Conga. Fantastic. Just great, silly fun that came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When Michael Crichton properties were the big thing after Jurassic Park.
Is it just me, or is there a lot of background noise on here? Because I'm hearing a lot of whoop, 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 whoop. And
it could be my fan.
It does seem to be. It does seem. I don't know. But there.
I can hear something like talk.
I'm seeing Daz light up when I'm hearing a lot of noise. No, seriously. Are
you farting, Daz?
My room's silent. My room is silent. There's nothing going on.
No, I don't know what it is then.
No, I can hear something as well.
You might get a bit of road noise from my house because I've got the castle way behind me.
I don't think it's that.
True. Well, anyways, but yeah, that was Gorgo. If you haven't seen it, pick up the 4K. It's well worth picking up. It comes in a lovely packaging and things. And it is, it looks great as well. And it's nice to see that the Americans have taken a British film and done something with it where the Brits just can't be asked. There's a lot of things happen like that.
It's a shame.
You know what I mean? Where the Americans and other countries take a bit more care over a British film that the Brits will just put out as a bare bones, or it's never been had a release on DVD since VHS.
It's particularly now that network have gone under. It's we're going to see fewer and fewer of these sort of things coming out as well, aren't we? Over here.
That's such sad network.
It really is, because they did put out some of these sort of films.
Yeah, they did, and it probably would have. It's maybe one of the 101 or something like that will pick up now. It's been scanned already, so maybe we'll get a British release, and that'll be brilliant, and everybody will, all the British critics will go crazy over it. This lost film that's not been released in Britain since blah blah blah. Oh, how was it lost? I mean, since it was a kid. But anyways, over to Watster. That's me done with Gorgo. Get it watched, enjoy it, and so on.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. So I'll go straight up to the most recent one. So mine's from 2010, which actually makes me feel.
Where's that interference coming from?
You sound slightly like you're underwater when you're talking on mine. I don't know if anyone else is picking that up.
Yeah.
I mean, a bit muddy.
Yeah, you're quite distorted. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, I think he's going to rejoin us. Carry on, Wolf.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So mine's 2010, which actually makes me feel quite old because it feels like I watched this like last year, and it's 13 years ago now. And it's a film called Never Let Me Go, which didn't get a huge release. Well, I mean, it was released in the cinema, but it wasn't a massive hit or anything. It was obviously went under the radar to a certain extent. It's directed by Mark Romanek, who, as a director, mainly did music videos. He did bloody hundreds of them. Like, just looking through like his back catalogue, he did like a lot of famous music videos. But the only kind of big film that he really did apart from this was 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams.
Great film.
Yeah. I've watched it since it came out.
Oh, you are, mate, BD.
Yeah, is that sounding better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little.
There's still that noise though, isn't there?
Yeah, that's me.
I don't think it is you actually, PD. I don't know. Well, again, I'm seeing different people light up at different times with.
If I mute mine,
for
a couple of minutes, and we'll see if that gets rid.
Yeah.
Well, now then,
the
guilty party is revealed. Yeah, that's it.
It's you, Dad.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't understand it. There's nothing going on in the room.
What microphone are you using?
It's off the tablet. I've got an idea though.
Yep. Iron Man.
I like the Iron Man trousers.
Oh yeah. I'm in my pajamas.
We're all at home. It's all right. I've just got a t-shirt on. I'm naked below the waist.
I'm Will.
I finished work. I've put off my uniform. I put my pajamas on. I'm not going anywhere.
I work from home.
You guys.
Sorry?
It's you definitely does.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it.
Okay. He didn't.
Perhaps just mute yourself while you're not actually talking.
Oh yeah.
Is that better? Is that okay?
He hasn't done a lot. It was written by Alex Garland, who obviously has done like a lot of stuff recently, Ex Machina and Annihilation Men. They say that he was the director of Dread, really, which one of my favorite films the last 20 years. And also directed by Kazuo Ishiguro, who was the guy who wrote the novel that it's based on. So I think he helped with the screenplay as well. And he actually won a Nobel Prize for Literature in 2017. It's got a great cast. You've got Keira Knightley, of course, everyone knows Keira Knightley. She's Pirates of the Caribbean and Love Actually, etc., etc. Carrie Mulligan, again, Drive, Promising Young Woman, like she's done loads. Andrew Garfield, bit of Andrew Garfield. He's I think your sound's off.
Yeah, I just muted myself. Sally Sparrow in Doctor Who, Carrie Mulligan.
Yes, I saw that when I was looking at the back catalog.
And Andrew Garfield was in Doctor Who as well, with the Daleks in Manhattan.
Right. It's a good I suppose the Bill Casualty Doctor Who, and then you're in Hollywood after that, I suppose, if you're a British actor.
Great proving ground, though.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Because they're all well written and full of great actors.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's the last one before you kind of get into the A-listers.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but I can't let a Doctor Who reference go past,
Oh no,
obviously.
no, no!
No,
Don't
not
let
at
me
all.
waffle on. Just no. If you've got something to say, just just say it.
Jump in.
Yeah. But yeah, Andrew Garfield. He's one of my favorite actors at the minute. Obviously, he's Spider-Man and Under the Silver Lake, another film that's gone under the radar that I absolutely adore, and various other things. You've got Ella Purnell, who anyone that watches Yellow Jackets, she's one of the main characters in Yellow Jackets. She's the one that the like main cheerleader lass. And you've got Charlotte Rampling, of course, great Charlotte Rampling.
Which one? Which one was she in Yellow Jackets?
Oh, she was the one that the main one that turned into a bit of a kind of bitch at the end, and no spoilers, but she gets killed. But she freezes to death outside.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
She's just a young lass in this because it's 13.
Sounds like a nice girl.
I'll mute myself again.
Sorry. Charlotte Rampling, obviously, Zardos. Enough said. And you've got Sally Hawkins, who
That dossier is amazing.
yeah, I watched it recently. Actually, it's completely nuts, but it's good fun.
Sally Hawkins from Paddington, of course,
It's
Yes,
just, let's be honest.
and the
Sean
Shape of
Connery,
Water.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
PD.
Shape of Water's good, but it's just a Creature of Black Lagoon remake,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But it's a great film because he always wanted to make a Universal Monsters film with
really.
Guillermo del Toro because that's some of his favourite films with the Universal Monsters films, and he's always wanted to do Frankenstein or something like that. So obviously, Shape of Water, it's Creature of the Black Lagoon, but with more creature shagging.
But she's not in. She's not in the next Paddington film though. She wouldn't do Paddington 3.
I
So
think they lost like the writers and the director or something, didn't they? So it was kind of it's going to be a bit of a new setup. I guess she wasn't didn't want to take the risk that it would stay as good as the first two.
You know something? I've never watched Paddington films. I've seen bits, but I've not seen them all.
The very
good
good
films.
feel good movies.
Films.
Like
Brilliant.
yeah, like I mean the score. You look at the Rotten Tomatoes score. It's something crazy, like 99% or something. Both of
But
them. I think Paddington 2 is like regarded as one of the best films of all time,
yes,
according to Rotten Tomatoes.
it beat Citizen Kane, didn't it? And Raging
Yeah,
Bull to be voted the best film of all time, which is
that's right. Yeah,
maybe a
yeah.
bit silly, but
Yeah, I'm not sure I can agree on that. Although saying that, I'm not the biggest Citizen Kane fan. I've
no, no,
twice trying to really get it. I think it was of its time, but
yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
It never quite grabs me. But
No, Citizen Kane's a hard watch.
yeah, it's.
I've watched it a couple of times, and it is Rosebud.
I
So
think it's the style, wasn't it? At the time, it was a new way of filming, and it kind of
yeah,
changed the genre. So, and because we're used to it, it doesn't have as much impact, I suppose. But
No, maybe not.
um, so yeah, so the film itself, it starts by basically stating that there's a medical breakthrough in 1952 that's permitted the human lifespan to be extended beyond 100 years, and it's narrated by a 28-year-old Kathy, who Carrie Mulligan plays, as she reminisces about her childhood at Telsham boarding school, and it goes on into her adult life after leaving school. The start of the movie, it's centered around the three main protagonists, which is Garfield, Knightley, and Mulligan, as kids, so not them at all, but their characters as kids. Doing just the normal kind of childhood things at a boarding school, at a British boarding school of that time, playing, kind of falling in love.
but the thing, sorry, Wolf. The
No,
thing
no,
is, it isn't of that time at all because when they get the stuff, when the jumble sale stuff comes in and they can
yeah,
buy it with the counters, you
yeah.
see she's got a Walkman in a box.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's set in 1952. I think that's when
Right.
it started. Yeah, sorry, I didn't make that clear when I said it. It was that was when the breakthrough came. But I think it's set. I thought it was like 70s, or I guess Walkman would make it 80s, wouldn't it? I suppose.
But once
Yeah.
you're in an alternative universe timeline, then all bets are off
Well, I
anyway, aren't
suppose.
they?
Yeah.
That's it as well. It is an alternative universe. So it's basically the same as what we've got, but there's something quite fundamentally different about it, which you discover as you go through it. At a point kind of early on, you start to realize what living beyond 100 years means and how it impacts them in their later life. I'm not going to say what it is, because anyone that does want to watch it, when I watched it the first time, I didn't know what it was, and I think it's kind of a spoiler if I say it. So that you realize and you realize it's an alternative version of the world. And the rest of the movie is centered around them as adults. They're housed in a cottage together for a while. Then they go their separate ways before meeting up together later. And they go through some pretty dark times. It's a very, very dark film, especially when you kind of when you lose Keira Knightley and you understand what completion means and things like that. There's a lot of kind of dark narrative in it. I mean, the scene where Keira, it's not massive spoilers to say that Keira Knightley dies, but the scene where she dies is like it's bone chillingly cold. It's like it's like you watch it and you're like, oof, that's inhuman. And it is, and that's what the whole film's kind of about. It's about how what makes someone human, and how whether you what you can justify to prolong your life and things like this. But that's all I'll say about the story, without going into spoilers. But yep. So
I'd never seen it until today.
Yeah.
And I got 55 minutes in and I knocked it off because it just wasn't my cup of tea. I was bored.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Fair enough. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? It just wasn't my thing. And I don't knock films off. I really don't. But I got half an hour in and I'm like struggling with it. And then I give it another 25 minutes. I thought I'll give it another 25 minutes. And it just wasn't for me.
No kaiju.
You know what I mean?
That's it. I'm knocking it off.
There's no giant monsters, and you know what I mean. There was nobody getting heads chainsawed off, and you know what I mean. Guts falling out their ass.
Well, it's funny you should
like
say,
that.
because in the last half hour. No, I'm just joking.
I apologise for knocking it off because
I haven't seen this one.
I couldn't put myself through it.
I haven't seen it. PD gave me the dates for tonight last week, and I just didn't get a chance to see it between then and now. But I read up on it to see what it was about and so on, and it looks absolutely my sort of thing. So it's definitely on my list to watch. But I've now been spoiled because I read up on what the plot was about and so on. But I won't reveal it either. But no, it's definitely on my list of things to watch. I shall catch up with this one.
Oh, good. I'll be interested to know if you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I am sorry, not my bag.
No, that's all right. We don't. There's lots of stuff you like. I don't, and vice versa. It's all.
I switched it off and put Xtro on.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to talk about that, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, which I know that's a very divisive film as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that wasn't my bag either.
No. Spoilers, mine neither.
It wasn't Steve's either. But
But
back to what?
So so that's kind of the rough storyline. The bit of trivia. Never Let Me Go, the book, is Carey Mulligan's favorite novel of all time. She was desperate for someone to adapt it, so she kind of petitioned for it to be made, because she really wanted to play Kathy, who is the main character. Mark Romanek, the director, said that working with child actors was the more challenging part of making the film. So during pre-production, he got the younger actors to watch the older actors that played them do the the child scenes and kind of make notes and just kind of get an idea of the chemistry and an idea of how they played them. Alex Carl.
I mean, because the child scenes are just a small part, really.
They're just a small what? Sorry.
You know what I mean? I mean, the child scenes really just a small part at the start, aren't they?
Oh yeah, it's just the background.
It just flash back a little bit, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. It's not like a huge element of the story. Most of it's centered around the age that the Carey Mulligan kind of period, which I suppose is when they're in the 20s. Early 20s to late 20s, I guess. And Alex Garland asked Kazuo Ishiguro for the rights to his novel before he even finished reading it, so he was clearly keen on it. What if it had a shit ending? That would have been gutted. Keira Knightley admitted that she only agreed to appear in it because she was good mates with Carey Mulligan, and Carey Mulligan basically begged her to do it. Mark Romanek described the film as a love story with fictional science context mixed in. He considered filming some futuristic elements, but decided it didn't feel right, which kind of goes into what we were talking about before on the kind of the aesthetics of the way it is. Andrew Garfield, who plays Tommy, would later be cast as Marvel superhero Spider-Man. But Charlie Rowe, who plays young Tommy, was a final contender for the same role as Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War. So a bit of a link there. Could have been the two Spider-Man.
I think Tom Holland does a cracking job as Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. No, it's. I mean, we've talked about it before. Andrew Garfield is actually my favourite Spider-Man, but I love Tom Holland as well. He's brilliant. But
Tom Holland's the closest we've had to Steve Ditko's original Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean,
him being at school, the teenage angst he goes through and stuff like that. The only thing he was missing was the glasses. Which he did kind of get.
So what we're actually saying is Tobey Maguire was shit.
Oh, my vote goes for Tobey Maguire. He's my favourite.
Oh, is he?
That's yours.
Yeah.
I love them films because it's obviously Sam Raimi, who's one of my favourite directors. So when he done them, I was completely blown away. You know what I mean? But great films, but Tom Holland kind of is just that. He's got it more. You know what I mean? Especially as it went on, and you got. Just because I read the comics, I suppose, as a kid. And you went on, and it went John Romita, Senior, and he took over after Ditko. He changed the character slightly, but it was still, you know what I mean? And that 90s cartoon as well, just perfect.
Yeah, I think you get the Kevin Feige MCU humor with the Tom Holland as well, which certainly. It's been a bit hit and miss recently, but it was on point at that point. That's good English. But yeah, I think all the Spider-Men have been good. So yeah, and the last bit of trivia, which I've just put on because it sounds ridiculous, because obviously everyone knows how old Carey Mulligan, Keira Knightley, and Andrew Garfield are. So originally, it give a big list of who was considered for the role of Kathy, which is Carey Mulligan's part, and apparently one of them was Nicole Kidman. I don't know how the fuck that would work, because I'm sure she must be old enough to be Carey Mulligan's mother, but that was in the trivia on IMDb, so I guess it must be true.
There we go.
But yeah, that's it. Yeah, I didn't look to see if you could see it anywhere. I'll look that up and shout out later if it's available any streaming services or anything. You can get it in physical media because I've got it on Blu-ray. But yeah, so that's that. I can't remember who was next. So, but over to whoever's next. That's it.
It's me. Hi. Right. So I'm going to 1981 with. Really, really great fun film, Time Bandits by Terry Gilliam.
Just brilliant.
We've all watched it. We all love it, don't we? You know, grown up with this film. But I'll go through some of the list of cast because bloody hell goes on. David Rappaport as Randall. It was brilliant. He's, you know, Kenny
what
Baker.
A sad ending. What a sad ending that man had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Committed suicide. Just great acting. He was just starting to take off in Hollywood as well.
Yeah.
And just
it happens, doesn't it?
Very sad.
Yeah, but you've got Kenny Baker in there as Fidget, Malcolm Dixon as Strutter, Mike Edmonds as Og, Jack Purvis as Wally, and Tiny Ross as Vermin. And Tiny Ross is his name, right? Don't diss me. Right, so that makes up the 6 dwarves. There's not 7. There should be 7. I don't know why. Oh, you suppose you got Kevin, haven't you? Who is Craig Warnock, who was the little lad. You've got John Cleese in there, Sean Connery, Shelley Duvall, Catherine Hellman, Ian Holm, Michael Palin, Ralph Richardson, Peter Vaughan, and David Warner. It's a fantastic, fantastic cast. And, you know, obviously, Gilliam got a few of his pals in. It's a handmade film, so George Harrison got his fingers in there.
Well, he does the intro song, and the outro songs are made.
The theme tune, it is.
Pretty Murray, brilliant.
You know, obviously with handmade, he's gonna get involved, isn't he?
Yeah.
He was that sort of guy, wasn't he, Harrison? But anyway, sorry.
Absolute superstar, George Harrison.
Oh no, amazing! Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
So we got the Holy Grail and Withnell and I. Very.
Yeah. Handmade Films was a great little studio, wasn't it? But anyway, quick synopsis. Kevin's a little kid, obsessed with history. One night he's lying in bed and his wardrobe becomes a time portal. 6 dwarves stumble through and take him on a magical journey to go and steal stuff through time. On the way, they meet some fantastic figures through history, real people and not so real. But you've got Napoleon in there, played by Ian Holm. Especially when he's quoting like other world leader dominators and, you know, horrible people, and, you know, saying how tall they were and what they achieved, and, you know, it's great. Sean Connery plays 2 parts in it. He plays what's his King Armageddon. That's his name in the film.
Agamemnon.
There, don't you? You know what I've done there? I've just read the word and decided that's what it is and wrote it down different. Yeah.
Agamemnon from Greek myths and the Trojan myths and all that.
It's not Armageddon at all.
No. Armageddon out of here.
Yeah, I think I am. Anyway.
Stop walking, Daz. I think that's it.
Sorry?
When you move, that's what's affecting the...
When I move?
Yeah.
It'll be the cheap microphone on the tablet. You know, it's bog standard. So I do apologise. Anyway, so, I mean, you've got Shelley Duvall and Michael Palin's parts in it are hilarious.
They just crop up everywhere.
What?
Oh, yeah. They just crop up everywhere.
But it's when he goes on about his problem. He never says what it is, but we all know what the problem is. I need fruit. I need fruit. Shelley Duvall as well. I mean, she's underrated. I mean, we love her from The Shining, don't we? Obviously, Wolf. Yeah, but you know, but you know, you don't see her in a lot. But when she's in stuff, she's great. You know what I mean? Like I say, Ian Holm, he's great. Michael Palin just made me laugh. Out of the whole, John Cleese as Robin Hood. I mean, you know.
David Warner.
David Warner. Now,
Evil Genius. Yeah,
I was going to mention David Warner because I was. Oh, sorry. It's really.
No, carry on.
No, I just. Yeah, sorry. It's very off-putting, the noise. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
it's. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, come press on. David Warner, I was lucky enough to meet David Warner because he came as a guest to the Doctor Who convention I organise. Because he did an episode of Doctor Who a little while ago, but he does a lot of he did a lot of the Doctor Who audio plays as well, and he was an utter delight to spend time with. But we were warned beforehand that whatever we did, we mustn't tell him he was any good. We mustn't put him on a pedestal. We mustn't make a big thing of him. We must absolutely play it down because he couldn't take it. It's just how he is, or was, and he and I got into a conversation about the late Sir John Hurt because the cinema in Quad in Derby where we do our convention is called the John Hurt Cinema, and they were big mates. And he was saying that John Hurt was a very special actor, which of course he was, who could be both a character actor and a leading man. And I made the mistake in an unguarded moment. I said, "Oh yeah, well." Absolutely right, I said, and David, you've not done too badly yourself. And immediately pounced on it. Oh, well, no, nothing like it, nothing of the sort, nothing of the sort. And I had to backpedal so quickly, basically, to tell him he was shit, which of course he wasn't. He was brilliant, but he's the only guest we've ever had who was stopped by the guy at the railway station on the ticket barrier to have a selfie with him. So it's, yeah, David Warner, top man.
Yeah,
Daz,
Tron, I remember Tron as well.
Daz, have you got a pair of Bluetooth headphones?
I have. You want me to put them on right now?
Might help.
Yeah, because that will probably stop the mic issue. I can cut this bit out. It's all right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm sorry about that. I just found it very difficult to say much there, because it was so loud. Oh, now then.
How's that?
Oh, that's done it.
Much better.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shit me. I wish we'd started that earlier.
Shall we start all over again? Shall we start
scrap it right back to the beginning. Oh my God. Well, I do apologise. And I hope that's eradicated the horribleness. Yeah, we're good to go. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, right. So I'll give you some trivia on the old Time Bandits, and what I'll do is I'll pronounce this right. In the original script, King Agamemnon was introduced. Oh my God! I'm just saying Armageddon.
Agamemnon.
God, you can tell you're a teacher.
Yeah. Break it down. Agamemnon.
Agamemnon. Thank you. When he was introduced in the original script, King Agamemnon. Right. He was introduced as. Sean Connery. The warrior took off his helmet. The warrior took off his helmet, revealing someone that looks exactly like Sean Connery, or an actor of equal but cheaper stature. The writer, the director, Terry Gilliam didn't know he'd been drafted in. So they drafted Sean Connery in without Terry Gilliam knowing. He unleashed himself, and there he is, James Bond.
No, that's wrong.
No, Agamemnon.
Yeah. Daz, what happened was one of the producers played golf with Sean Connery and showed him the script and got him involved that way. But he could only, because he was a tax.
Right.
Because he couldn't be in England long because of tax reasons. He could only come and shoot so much at a time. But it was because the producer played golf with Connery. That's how they got him in.
Right, okay.
I'm seeing the producer now as Goldfinger on the golf course with Connery.
Yeah.
An odd job standing at the side.
I expect you to die, Mr. Bond. Sorry,
no, that's all right. According to Terry Gilliam, David Rappaport believed he got his part for his acting ability alone, without size being a contributing factor. As a result, he didn't socialise with his co-stars. During the invisible barrier scene, when the other bandits retaliate against Randall, the actors were expressing their frustrations with him, which is mad.
He was a man who had his issues.
Yeah, obviously, he obviously had issues.
Yeah.
It was Sean Connery's idea for him to appear as a firefighter at the end of the film. So, which is a great little scene. That I like that. No studio wanted to make it, so George Harrison and Dennis O'Brien mortgaged their office building in Cadogan Square to raise the £5 million to make it. $5 million even. Yeah. So there you go.
You look at that film, and that was made for $5 million. So back then, maybe £2.5 million?
Probably, yeah. It was probably 1 to 2 then, wasn't
it? Yeah, back then.
It wasn't far off it.
So look at the production design and the production on that film, and it still stands up today. There's no CGI in it. You know what I mean? It's just some handcrafted animations.
Yeah.
Still, I watched it today again, and I love that film.
Yeah.
Still stands up, and that
absolutely.
It's a terrific film. It really is a lovely, lovely film, and I presume people have seen Gilliam's his first feature film, or first
Jabberwocky
film, Jabberwocky, which is one of my favorite films.
Yeah, I like Jabberwocky.
I'm going to be that guy though, because it is an absolutely terrific film. But I'm going to ask that question again: is it a science fiction film? I mean, it's
Time Bandits?
Yeah, it's a fantasy. It
is fantasy. It's science fiction fantasy.
You said yourself, it's a magical journey that they go on.
Oh, I did, didn't I? I could have picked fucking Lord of the Rings. I'm joking. No, there is an element of science fiction. There's time travel.
Okay.
Yeah, well, come on. You have to give me that. All right. According to the DVD commentary, Terry Gilliam shot this movie in low angles so you're seeing it from the dwarves and the kids' point of view, which you can sort of see, can't you? Because you are at their sort of head height, and it's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen Time Bandits, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no excuse. It's 1981, 42 years ago, and we know how important 42 is.
Life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. So anyway, Steve, for the first time, over to you. I hope you're ready.
Yes, I'm utterly ready. Does it? Are you happy for me to do either of the two that I've picked?
Start with.
It has to be chronological.
Day the Earth Caught Fire. Also 1961 as well, like Gorgo as well. Yeah. Now, this is a proper science fiction film. There's the difference. Written by Wolf Mankiewicz and Val Guest, and directed by Val Guest, an absolute giant of a name. Well, no, it's quite a short name, but a giant of a man amongst Hammer directors and so on. Absolutely crucial in the early Hammer period there. Starring Edward Judd in his first big role. I mean, he was one of those chaps who cropped up regularly throughout British films in the 60s and then drank himself into an early career end. He plays Peter Stenning.
And a lot of them did.
Sadly, plays Peter Stenning, who's a journo on the Daily Express, I beg your pardon, and Janet Munro, who is his love interest, Jeannie Craig, somebody who works for the Met Office, excitingly, and the brilliant Leo McKern, who plays Bill Maguire, a veteran journalist. Leo McKern, of course, best known probably for Rumpole of the Bailey on the telly, but also he was in the Beatles film Help. He was in The Prisoner on television. He was one of the best number twos, which sounds wrong, but he was. He was a great actor, South African born, absolute staple of British cinema.
Glass Eye.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, from the 60s through to the 2000s, I suppose, really. Also, you got in there Michael Goodliffe, again, a tremendous actor who, again, had a very sad ending to his life. Who, again, is one of those faces that people know from everything. An interesting, Reginald Beckwith was in there, who, again,
Great actor.
great, yeah, Night of the Demon.
Yes, yes,
It
yes,
was brilliant in
yes.
Night of the Demon. Um, I'm going to mention Bernard Braden, who was a Canadian actor and journalist who was very, very famous in the 60s on British television, basically for doing a sort of a talk show, consumer type show. He was the person who gave Esther Ranson her big break on television.
Oh, right.
Bernard
All
Braden,
right.
yeah. And you've got him here playing a journalist, which sort of adds a bit of a very similar similitude. Oh, I can't say that one. Very similitude.
Yeah.
Along
Break
with
it down.
Agamemnon.
Break it
Yeah,
down.
break it down. That would be yeah, Agamemnon's very similar.
Touche.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
definitely. Yeah. So, and the other name I'm going to mention is Michael Caine. Michael Caine,
Michael
who
Caine, yes.
one of his very early pre stardom roles as a policeman, which is
Yeah.
it's just lovely. You have to spot him, but he is there. There's
You
another
hear his
name.
voice, and you
Yeah,
hear the voice, and you're just like,
yeah,
it's Michael
yeah.
Caine. As soon as he speaks, you're like, Michael Caine.
So one now, if you haven't seen The Day the Earth Caught Fire, you'll need to know what it is about. Well, okay, so it's a Cold War paranoia thing, but it's not all them naughty Russians and things like that. It's isn't everybody gone a bit crazy here? Because what happens is that the Americans and the Russians, purely by accident, simultaneously set off nuclear bomb tests at either end of the Earth, and the Earth doesn't like it. The result the result is very strange weather patterns, a bit like we've had over the last year. Um, and so Peter Stenning, Edward Judd is sent off to investigate and meets Jeannie in the Met Office. They fall in love almost immediately. And it becomes clear that the result of these atomic bombs is the Earth's nutation with an N, which I've looked up, and it means the slight wobble on the way the Earth revolves or anything else revolves, the very slight wobble you get on any sort of revolving, fast revolving thing. Well, the Earth's nutation has been altered by 11 degrees, and that's affected all the climate zones. The poles have changed position, the equator's in a different place, and all that sort of business. There's
So instead
London
of the
is
Earth being like that, it's gone kind of like that.
yeah, well, yeah, but it's the way it actually moves that
Yeah.
has changed. Yeah, so London is surrounded in mist caused by evaporating seas and things like that, which is quite naughty. Um, but worse is yet to come because they then discover that not only is the nutation been nuked, but the Earth's actual orbit has been disrupted. And oh no, it's spiraling towards the sun, which is bad news all round. Yes, so even the government wakes up at this point and declares a state of emergency, start rationing water and food. The cities start sort of evacuating themselves, but people go, well, obviously we're going to be safe if we get out of the city. That'll be all right then.
That's
Yeah, we've got
not what you can really do if you're hurtling towards the sun.
Yeah. You'll be all right as long as you're somewhere in Devon or something. That's right.
Shade. Just get some shade.
Yeah, I'm making it sound as if this film is rubbish. It's actually brilliant. There are riots on the street, and we see the whole thing from the point of view of the newspaper reporter, Peter Stenning, played by Edward Judd, and what's going on in the newspaper office. And just to add that extra degree of reality, you've got a guy called Arthur Christensen playing the newspaper editor. And Arthur Christensen, rather, was actually a former editor of the Daily Express. He wasn't an actor at all. I think he was in 2 films. The Day the Earth Caught Fire, playing a newspaper editor. And then there's another film, the name of which I'm going to probably have to look up, in which he also played the same role, basically, a newspaper editor. So yeah. Well, absolutely, yeah. Well, they presumably thought he would know how to put across a proper newspaper editor. Let's have a look. The other film he was in,
80,000 Suspects.
How many? I knew it was something suspect, so I couldn't think of the number. Tell me again.
80,000 suspects.
80,000 suspects, which in many ways is a thank you, PD. It's a sort of a sequel to The Day the Earth Caught Fire. It's a similar sort of thing. And Arthur Christensen again cropping up as the newspaper editor Jeff Jefferson. I don't know whether he's got the same name in the second one, but he might as well have. And the film was yes, the film was made on location, largely in the Daily Express offices in London. So it's mostly not in studio. It's mostly in and around London as it burns, and in the Daily Express office. Well, okay. So what do you do if atomic bombs have set off the Earth on into spiraling into the sun? Well, obviously a daily event. What you do is you set off some more nuclear bombs. So
to rectify it.
To rectify it. Well,
Yeah.
that's what they do. That's the plan. Set off some more nuclear bombs.
Two wrongs do make a right.
Absolutely. And that will sort it. And the genius of the film, well, the genius of the film is manyfold, but there's all the scenes of society collapsing in London and riots and 24-hour partying and drunkenness and all that, which is it's absolutely superb.
It is. It's done really, really well when the whole of London's just going insane, and
Yeah,
you can see
yeah.
people rioting, and then you can see them. There's loads of people partying.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
It
Just
is superb.
brilliant.
And there are no special effects in this film. The only special effects is a bit of makeup to make it look as if people are a bit sweaty. It's for the most part, it's a black and white film, but another thing which is absolutely fantastic is the very beginning before you go into the major flashback that is the most part of the film, and again at the very end when the things are sort of resolving. That they color tinted the black and white film with sort of a yellow wash, and it's extraordinary, isn't it? It really does. It makes it look as if it brings it out. But the other great genius of the film is that you don't get an ending. That you see Stenning and Maguire and Jeannie in a bar listening to the radio talking about the bombs have been now exploded, and will this sort it? Is this the end of the world, or is it going to be okay? And we don't get an ending. What we see is in the newspaper office where it's deserted in the newspaper office and Daily Express office, and you see two alternative front pages for the next day. One of which says "World Saved," and the other one says "World Doomed," and we're left to decide. Now, when it was released in America, oh, they wouldn't have that. They weren't happy.
No.
So what they did, so in order to produce a happy ending, they dubbed the sound of church bells over the end. To give this happy ending to yeah, everything's going to be fine. But the original idea is, and more often than not, that's the version you see, I'm afraid. But yeah, it's a very, very powerful film. It's part of the genre of what we call cozy catastrophe, isn't it? Where it's very, very localized, and it's very it's in familiar surroundings. Well, familiar if you're in 1961 London anyway. Obviously, London has changed a little since those days. John Wyndham, of course, The Day of the Triffids, and his stuff is the ultimate examples of that. But I saw this film first of all when I was at school, and we used to have this film club, which wasn't really a club. It was just some teacher chose a film and put it on in the hall one evening after school, and I saw this then, and sort of the things I used to do at Harrowby School, PD.
You did?
Yeah.
Afternoons, I got to watch all sorts. You know, Blackadder, Monty Python, Jabberwocky.
I did one. I don't think it was at Harrowby. I think it was at the next school where I went to. No, two schools on, where I put on. Oh no, I won't remember the name of the film. There's a film which is entirely again set in, and it's quite similar to this in many ways. It's set in a newsroom, an American TV news thing. and it's reporting aliens coming to Earth and disaster of that. And I put it on before the kids arrived on a lunchtime, and when they arrived, it was apparently a news report on the television about freaks. And I said to her, "Have you seen this? Have you seen what's going on?" I had them for about 10 minutes.
Oh, brilliant!
It's the sort of thing I used to do when I was teaching. Yeah, so it is an absolute brilliant example of the cozy catastrophe film that was a very popular genre in the early 60s. I mean, we think of things like Village of the Damned, and I mentioned Day of the Triffids. And the other Wyndham things. This one, but as I say, Val Guest, an utter genius of a director, such an important figure in British cinema in the 60s. And Edward
He
Judd
made
got a
so
career from
many
this.
classics.
He did. And when I come to mention the second film, although he didn't direct it, that I've chosen in a bit, I'll mention Val Guest's name again because he'll come up there as well. But even though he didn't direct the other one, which we'll reveal in a while, we'll maintain some jeopardy and some mystery.
Oh, good. That's what we like.
Have you seen this one? Have you seen The Day the Earth Caught Fire? I know you have, PD.
I personally haven't, but I'll look out for it.
No,
is it available anywhere?
It's out on DVD.
I can lend it.
Right.
It's
right. I'll grab a copy off PD. Yeah.
I like the fact that you're saying it's all from just the one newsroom, and it's not just kind of you're watching lots of kind of slightly dated effects as the Earth kind of falls to pieces. It's all done from the
it's a story.
That sounds really interesting to me. I've definitely going to check
it out. It's all about the story.
It's a very story-driven film, and it is excellent. You see, I don't get subtle films.
It's not one of those films where you've got the army sweeping in to save everything at the end or anything like that. It's ordinary people doing ordinary jobs. Our hero, Peter Stenning, he starts off as a bit of a has-been. He's had a big career low. He's lost a lot of credibility. He's had a divorce, which has led to him taking to the bottle, and he's basically being sent to cover local flower shows and things like that because he's lost his credibility as a reporter, and he starts off in that position, and with the help of Janet Monroe's character. I've done really talking about Janet Monroe. She is absolutely fabulous in it as well. She really is good as Jeannie, the female lead, and with her help and with the situation, he comes back up to where he should be.
And Janet Monroe has that very kind of 60s look as well.
Oh. That half, yeah.
And she looks fabulous. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when people talk 60s, when people say 60s, it's worth remembering 61. This is 60s before the 60s, isn't it? Yeah. It's 60s before the 60s.
Pre-miniskirt.
Pre-miniskirt by a long way. Pre the Beatles, pre Carnaby Street, pre all of that.
Yeah.
And it was like my film, which was filmed, Gorgo, which was filmed 61, came out 61. Everybody's, one of the things I had to laugh about the day the Earth caught fire is it's 90 degrees heat and they're all in suits.
Yes, with the ties.
They're all in suits still, shirt, ties still on, suits still on, sweating buckets. Yeah. I'd be in the underpants. You know what I mean? I'd be running around getting the story in the underpants.
And that is the sign that society is broken down, isn't it? When people are going around in the underwear and things like that, when they're partying and throwing water at each other and so on.
That's it. And you see them, every single person, no word of a lie, is just suited and booted constantly.
Well, the thing that always gets me about anything filmed in London in the 60s or set in London in the 60s or the 50s, or for that matter, even the early 70s, is how you can drive into central London with no problem whatsoever and park. Yeah. There's never a problem. You just drive up and you park outside the house where you're going to. Whereas you couldn't do that in Carlisle these days, I don't think. No.
The other thing I've got to say as well with a lot of these, like Gorgo, like Day the Earth Caught Fire, and a bit like films that were shot, kind of 70s New York, London is a character to itself in these films.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A bit like, in Taxi Driver and the likes of where New York's a character, as much a character in the film as Travis Bickle. You know what I mean? And in these films, and a lot of films that were shot in around this time, up till the kind of 70s, when London changed and like New York changed and all that, London was as much a character in these films as the actors.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Without a
certain
doubt.
cities have an identity, and films can make the film part of it. Like one of my favorite films of all time, to name drop, In Bruges, the star of the film.
Oh, brilliant film, wonderful film.
Yeah.
Love it.
You name drop that film about every single podcast I've
Right,
done.
Oh, well,
you
why
said it,
wouldn't
wasn't
you?
Get dropped a lot.
Why wouldn't you though? That is a magnificent film. Oh,
It is a good
yes.
film.
It's a good film.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing worth mentioning, I suppose, is the role of newspapers because to a younger
Yeah.
person these days,
Yeah.
newspapers mean nothing anymore, do they? I mean, nobody really buys newspapers or reads newspapers anymore. It's all on your tablet or whatever. But in those days, not only did most households buy and read a newspaper each day, it was the main way that people consumed their news, along with the radio rather than the television. I think it's fair to say. But
Yeah,
journalists were well-known figures. Newspaper journalists were well-known figures, and people would be aware generally of the main leader writers of the main newspapers and so on, without them being celebs, because that sort of thing didn't exist in those days either. So it's a extraordinarily well written film, extraordinarily well made film, extraordinarily well acted film. It's terrific.
100%.
It's science fiction.
These boys need to see it. And it's science fiction. You know, hey, my next one's 100% sci-fi. You know
Sort of. Yeah, I wasn't
It's
impressed.
sci-fi.
Go on. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, so that's that.
Is it me? Over to me, is it?
Well, I'm done on that one.
Right, no problems. Back to me. And mine's from 1982. Film about aliens come to Earth, and it's not E.T., which came out the same year. It's bizarre, it's mental, it's the sci-fi horror that is Xtro. And as I say, it came out the same year as E.T., and I seen this, it would be 1983-ish.
No wonder you were such a damaged child.
I know.
We've said this. We've all said this.
I've seen Cannibal Holocaust by this time. By 1983, I'd seen Cannibal Holocaust. But Xtro is absolutely, it's a favourite of mine. And it's fantastic. Written, directed, and even composed.
Hold on. Somebody wrote it.
Admittedly, from the director's own mouth, they were very, very high on drugs. And they just kept on putting things in and going, that'll look great. And it is completely nuts. It's gory as hell. And it kicks off with lad and dad out in the garden, throws a stick into the air, and it explodes, and then he's gone. And the boy...
That's a different take on 2001: A Space Odyssey, isn't it?
That's it, isn't it? Boom. Flash forward 3 years, and the lad's mum is basically saying, look, your dad's ran off and left us. He wasn't abducted by aliens. He ran off and left us. That's it. And he comes back. The alien craft comes back and becomes this creature born out of the earth, which is a backwards walking Tim Dry, who's fantastic. And he plays the creature. And you've got Philip Sayre, I nearly said it the other way around there, as Sam Phillips. Bernice Steggers as Rachel Phillips. Danny Braining as Joe Daniels. And it's the film debut of Miriam Diablo, who was in Living Daylights. Do you know the cello player?
Oh, yeah.
Who Bond kind of hooks up with.
Yeah.
This was her
Don't like
first
him.
film. No, no, and this was her first film. And if you wanted to see some boobies and things, she's naked in this film as well. And it's absolutely bizarre. It's also got Anna Wing in, and Anna Wing is best known as Lou Beale in EastEnders.
Oh,
And she's crazy as hell in this. The kid's snake drops into her house, and instead of, because it's not like a bitey snake, instead of getting the kid down, she just stabs the shit out of it, kills it, and then hands him back in a bag.
Shall I tell you a sci-fi fact about Anna Wing?
Go on, then,
All right,
sir.
two sci-fi. First of all, she did a Doctor Who. She was in a Peter Davison story called Kinder, around about the same time this film was made, 82
Right.
or thereabouts, 83. But more importantly, Anna Wing was the mother of Mark Wing Davey, who played Zaphod Beeblebrox on the TV version of Hitchhiker's Guide and on the radio version of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
There you go. So
I never
Zaphod
realised
Beeblebrox's mum, yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, let's be honest, the original Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is absolutely fabulous.
oh,
Yeah, I can watch it anytime. You know, I even still listen to Marvin the Paranoid Android's song because I had that on 7-inch single.
Yeah, I got that.
It's fantastic.
Those books got me around when I went traveling around the world. I read all the Hitchhiker's books as I was traveling around the world. It was such a good accompaniment. It kind of made mine seem a little bit insignificant, really. But
hey, no, but they are fantastic.
Adams is a legend.
I must admit, I've not read all the books, but thoroughly enjoyed the show. And I think they're remaking it, aren't they?
Again,
The Hitchhiker's Guide. I think so.
That gets brought up every so often that maybe they're going to remake it. And I mean, the film was decades in the making. And
well, he wrote the screenplay, didn't he? Because it changed the ending, which I didn't really like. But he did he was the one that decided the Earth should be united at the end.
Well, every version of Hitchhiker's Guide is different from every other one. And we've diverted this very successfully from talking about this dreadful film, haven't we?
No, well, let's get back to the wonderful Xtro. Let's be honest, it's a fantastic film.
Which I really enjoyed.
Dad enjoyed it. There we go.
I loved it.
Fair enough.
Harry Bromley Davenport, as I say, he wrote it, directed it, and even done the score. And the score's meant it's just synths that are just like screaming sometimes. It's mental. And as the film goes on, it does get more and more mental. I mean, there's an action man comes to life, full-size action man comes to life, stabs up Anna Wing, the clown, yeah, and it's insane. And, the way his dad feeds on the young lad, and then the young lad feeds on Miriam Diabo's character. It's mental, but I've always been a fan. And they did make a couple of sequels. Same director, he wrote and directed them. In name only, and it's Hollywood money and Hollywood stars, and they're not as nuts. They're more straightforward, and they don't feature any connection bar the name to Xtro, because for some reason he couldn't get some of the story elements to do. I don't know why, but he had the name. So Xtro 2, which starred Mark Singer, Beastmaster
V.
And V. Yeah.
Yeah, I love V.
And Xtro 3, Watch the Skies, had Andrew Divock, who played the Wishmaster.
All right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You recognise me if you see him. Is in that one? So we got some decent names, but it was Hollywood money, and there was straight to video. They were for the straight to video market in the 90s. So it came out the second one came out 11 years, 12 years later. But I enjoy it, and it is nuts. It's got some very sick special effects, especially where he's been reborn out of the woman.
Oh, Oh,
and it is chewing the umbilical cord and everything like
yeah.
that. It's just insane. Mr. Hatcher's sitting there going,
Yeah, it's
no, no,
no,
hey,
look. Now, look.
no,
I'm being
no,
very
no,
sniffy and dismissive about your
not
choice
at
of film,
all.
and that's naughty of me.
I,
Because I
no,
can
not at all.
absolutely see why you enjoy it.
Because
I can absolutely
what?
see why you enjoy it. But but it is the sort of horror film that I don't watch. I can see there are science fiction elements in it. Yeah, it's a science fiction horror. I give you that. But what I couldn't get past, right? This is presumably a highly advanced technological civilization that can build spaceships that can cross the galaxy. Yet they look like sort of dog things with their legs on backwards. They don't appear to have opposable thumbs. And they come to Earth for what? To be a bit mean. I mean, are they pranking people or what?
I think, isn't that what, when aliens usually, apart from ET, come to Earth, they're sometimes a
Well,
bit mean
that
and
that,
kill
that,
a lot
that
of
can
people?
that can be a bit of a problem in science fiction films. I'll give you that. In old-fashioned ones, Mariam Darbo seems to have one purpose. Well, no, two purposes in the film, and they're both on show quite early when she turns up. The fact about her, she is the cousin, I think it is cousin, certainly relation of Mike Darbo, the lead singer out of Manfred Mann's Earth band, Manfred Mann, who's
All right.
just done, yeah, he's just done his last ever tour with them, Mike Darbo. I saw a photo of that
Bloody
online
hell.
the other day.
I
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
bit of Manfred Mann's Earth Band.
yeah.
Blinded by the light.
That was Mike
Great tune.
Darbo. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Mike Darbo
Great
singing
tune.
that.
great tune. Yeah, great tune.
Yeah.
I'll go
That
on
was
to
a
some
Springsteen
trivia.
tune, you know. You'll know that's a Springsteen tune, which so
Yes,
it
it
will be
was.
a great
Yeah,
tune. Yeah.
of course it was. It was like, oh, what was it? Oh, there was another big tune, and was
Well,
it
they did what?
Because the Night was a Springfield song.
Yeah, yeah.
He wrote that, and it was,
That's right. It
oh, what
was
was his name?
Patti Smith.
Yeah, Patti Smith got it, and
Yeah.
it was Jimmy Ivy, who is Dr. Dre's big pal behind
Okay.
Beats.
All right.
Oh.
And it was him. He was Bruce Springsteen's producer at the time.
And Manfred Mann's Earth Band's other big hit, because Manfred Mann had various different bands, didn't he? But Earth Band's other big hit was Joybringer, which was based on Gustav Holst's Jupiter from the Planet Suite.
Right.
Science
They
fiction-ish.
also did the Mighty Inn, didn't they? Mighty.
Well, that was the
Come on with
original. That was the original Manfred Mann band with.
Oh, that was the
Yeah,
original
yeah,
Man, wasn't it? Yeah,
yeah, with
before the change.
Williams. Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, back to my madness. And it is absolute. I'm not excusing it. It's lo-fi, it's low budget, and it's completely nuts. But I seen it, as I say, 1983. So I'll have been 8 or 9 when I seen it.
Dear,
So,
dear.
That's too young.
And some
No, it
teacher had
isn't.
to pick up the pieces after that. Oh, hang on, that was me.
And I did, and I've got the original VHS. I've got a VHS poster. I've just picked up the original VHS standee, cardboard standee that used to be in the shops, which I picked up at a fucking bargain price, I must admit. And I've got it multiple times on disc. The latest Blu-ray release that came out a few years back, I've got that. I've got the sequels as well on DVD. But I think it's a great film. It had a few alternate endings. There was an ending. Which ending did you see?
God, I can't
Was it
remember.
the egg explosion?
I watched it just the other week. I'd never seen it before, and I want to thank you for introducing me to it, PD. I can't remember what the ending was.
No, I can't.
There's lots of
It
clowns.
was mental, mate. The whole thing was mental.
Yeah,
It got very weird at the end. It didn't seem to make.
I really enjoyed it.
I think that's when the drugs must have kicked in. What you were saying, the right.
But there's an ending where like she walks into this room and it's like a fridge and it's full of all the alien eggs. One explodes and the sucker goes on her mouth.
Oh,
and the
that
mother
was
dies.
I don't remember
That
that.
sounds familiar.
And then another
right,
ending
okay.
is where she walks into the room and there's loads of little clones of her son.
Didn't see that one.
Well, that one either. Perhaps I'd fallen asleep by the end.
The German version was cut to shreds as well.
Is that its name?
Yeah, cut to shreds.
Cut to shreds.
The original UK DVD release was also taken from the cut German print, which was a bit of a bummer.
Is that the alternative
UK cinema
title?
release. Eh?
Is that the alternative title?
Yeah.
You are already regretting having me on, aren't you? I can tell this.
Not at all. Not at all. As I said, I think I've mentioned most of the alien creature and the action man are played by mime artists Tick and Tock, alias Tim Dry and Sean Crawford. They also
I did think that the alien costume, like as I was saying, I wasn't the biggest fan of this movie either, but like the costume, I did think was quite cool. I like the face and stuff. It was quite nice creature effects there. I have to say I like that. Yeah.
Well, it was a lot different from what had been around, because what you think, everyone was trying to recreate aliens at one point. You know what I mean?
This was the
Alien had been the big film.
The Thing came out as well, I suppose. So
yeah. So there's a lot of Alien, and Close Encounters had just been out as well, and so Aliens were a big buzz, to be honest.
They were nice in Close Encounters, though, weren't they? They were nice. Well, as far as we know,
they were lovely.
Yeah. Well, as far as we know, we don't know what happened after we went into that spaceship with them. To be fair,
I'd have quite happily been Richard Dreyfuss in that film.
Yeah, absolutely. But we still don't know what happened afterwards.
Yeah. No.
Well, ain't no probes.
Once he's on board, right, got you.
Well, you do know E.T. started off life as a sequel to Close Encounters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when it split off. For Poltergeist was the family part, and E.T. was the alien part, and it kind of went into two different stories. And we got two films out of a sequel to Close Encounters. But anyway, back to this utter madness. I'm nearly done. Reportedly, which is law like this, the director hates the film.
Oh.
Absolutely hates the film.
But that's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is.
It's a shame.
He calls the film a bit of an embarrassment, saying that the bizarre atmosphere of the film was completely unintended, and that there is no deep symbolic meaning to the strange random events that happen. And as
they were just off the face.
They were just doing a lot of drugs. Which, if you think, like in the 80s, every studio was just doing a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was a lot of cocaine and everything getting done in the 80s. But
wouldn't it? So that's it's less acid and stuff, which I was kind of expecting them to be taken for this movie. But
well, you know what I mean.
Sorry, just continue.
People sometimes think Xtro was on the nasties list. It wasn't, but it was on the Section 3. It wasn't on the 72, but it was on the Section 3 that didn't get done. But you know what I mean. Sometimes they got removed from the shelves, which was silly because they weren't going to get done. But it was a Section 3 which didn't get banned.
It may have been that they would have had to have watched it in order to ban it, and started watching it and thought, I can't even be bothered to.
Let's be honest, though.
That's cruel.
Let's be honest. The BBFC didn't watch half the films that they banned on the
of course they didn't. Of course they didn't.
Use the names. SX Experiment Camp, let's ban it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Cannibal Terror, it's got cannibal in the title, let's ban it. Yeah. And that's 90 minutes I'll never get back. But last one as well. Philip Sayre, who played the lead Sam, was a close friend to Queen guitarist Brian May. And Brian May dedicated a song to him called Just One Life, which was the B-side to the single Driven by You.
Yeah.
And it was to his memory. Because he obviously died. So
Abducted
Yeah,
by
so
Can I
aliens.
that's
just
Xtro. Yeah.
can I just add? Xtro was on Amazon Prime. I don't know if it is now, but it was.
I think it still is.
I think
Yeah,
that's where I watched it the other week. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it still is. So if you want to watch
Mm.
it, it's on Amazon.
It's worth watching
And
because it's mental. I
it's
liked it.
you know something, right? It's one of those films that if there's a bunch of yous and you've had a few drinks, you've had a few bongs, and you're in that kind of mind, pop that on, and you'll have a great laugh.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
that's
It's
you know what I
crazy.
mean. You can take the piss out of it. But me
Yeah,
personally, I've always enjoyed it. It's crazy. It's nuts. It's completely bizarre. Things happen, and you're going, "Why has that happened?" You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Voices
yeah,
appear
yeah.
from rooms where you're going, "Where were they?" You know, there's lots of disembodied voices in it, and from actors where you're going, "Where did they bloody come from? The words didn't see them in it." Though. But give it a watch. It's on Amazon Prime. So back over to Stephen for
Yeah,
our final film of the evening.
it's no 2001, is it? Actually, it's no
No, it's
2001,
not
is it?
2001. You know what I mean?
But
Not
then
at all.
it's absolutely right that but not all science fiction films should be 2001. To
No.
be
No,
fair, no, there's room for all sorts of stuff, isn't it? 2001, I
As
very
well.
nearly picked as my second choice because, and I would claim it is a British sci-fi film because it was made in Britain with a British cast and largely British cast and a British-based director. But I've had arguments with people about that in the past who claim it's really an American film because all the money was American and all that, and I can see that. But I didn't pick it because I far rather ahead of that pick Quatermass and The Pit from
Great film.
1967.
yeah,
What a film.
yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful
I
film.
was, I was, I was nearly
Oh,
going to pick this one, but then PD said you'd picked it, so I was like, oh,
Sorry, I
twice.
am so sorry.
Great. No, it's fine. No, you'll do a better job than I
Well,
will. I feel, but-
for anybody who doesn't know about Quatermass, there were three Quatermass TV serials in the 50s. We had the Quatermass Experiment in 1953, Quatermass 2 in 55, and Quatermass and the Pit in end of 1958, beginning of 1959. And they were among the first BBC big hit TV series. You know, the nation stopped to go, the pubs were emptied to go home and watch Quatermass on a Sunday night. They were written by Nigel Neal. Now, Nigel Neal is one of my greatest heroes. He was born in the Isle of Man. He was a science fiction, but not just science fiction, a TV and film writer of very great standing. And I think it was his centenary last year, which was properly
yeah.
celebrated by a series of events up and down the country, including one in Derby here. Um, he was born in the Isle of Man, as I say. He wrote the Quatermass things. He wrote the 1954 version of 1984 for BBC. He wrote a whole load of non-science fiction as well. There's all sorts of things of these. It's far too many things to go into there. His TV work. Hammer got hold of the rights to the three Quatermass serials. Well, the story about that is interesting because Nigel Neal was a BBC staff writer when he wrote the Quatermass Experiment. So when he wrote it, he didn't own it. The BBC owned it, and they flogged it to Hammer. And so Hammer made the first two Quatermass films. The Quatermass X with an experiment, because writing the word experiment is nowhere near sensational enough, in 1955, and then Quatermass 2 in 1957. And as was the way with Hammer quite often in those days, they imported an American star to play the lead, Brian Donlevy, who was extraordinary in the role. Make of that comment what you will. He wasn't what most people thought of as Quatermass, and he certainly wasn't what Nigel Neal thought of as Quatermass. And Neil was not happy. Most people weren't happy. Nigel Neal was one of the grumpiest men you can ever come across. If you read almost anything, he hated almost any adaptation of his work. He was invited to write for Doctor Who and basically said, "I'm not writing for that shit," at various times. Yeah, he was very, very, very grumpy, but a great writer. He was married to Judith Kerr, who wrote The Tiger Who Came to Tea and Mog and things like that.
All right,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so
yeah.
Quatermass and Mog were written in the same house. How wonderful is that?
No way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So anyway, now these two Hammer Quatermass films in the 50s were directed by the great Val Guest, who we've just spoken about. They're not particularly highly regarded, particularly Brian Donlevy. Apparently, his wig blew off in one scene filming on a hill one night.
Didn't he have a bit of
And,
a drinks problem as well?
yes, he did. Brian Donlevy had been a bit of a sort of a minor star in the States. He just cropped up in all sorts of films. But his career had sort of crashed a bit because of the drink thing. And he came to, which is why the Hammer could afford him to be Quatermass, to be fair. The most recent thing I saw him in was I'm going to forget the name of it. Edgar Wallace-based film set in Hong Kong, the Five Golden Dragons. Does that make sense? Okay, well, never mind. But Brian Donlevy's in that. It's not.
No, I don't think I've not seen that one.
No, it's maybe not your type of thing, that. But anyway, so Nigel Neal was very, very cross about the first film, but not so cross that when they approached him with enough money, he came back on board for the second film. So he wrote the second one. Now, the plan was to go straight on and do Quatermass and the Pit, the third serial. Now, the third serial is immeasurably the best of the three Quatermass series. It is absolutely, the TV version starring Andre Morel is absolutely fantastic, and I'd urge anybody. It's absolutely available. It's out on DVD, Blu-ray. It survives in its entirety. The first one, Quatermass Experiment, only the first 2 episodes survived. The rest wasn't recorded, and there is a wonderful appearance by a fly you got on the lens. And waving at the viewer in the 2 episodes of the Quatermass Experiment. Quatermass 2 does exist and is great, but can sort of drag a bit in the middle. The Quatermass and the Pit, magnificent. Andre Morel, I mean, for me, Andre Morel is third only to Cushing and Lee amongst Hammer stars. I mean, Andre Morel was a great actor in all sorts of things. And probably fourth in that list was Barbara Shelley, or maybe she was third, and we'll mention her again in a minute. So they were gonna do Quatermass and the Pit.
Beautiful redhead.
Yeah, she came to Air Doctor convention as well, not long before she
Oh,
died.
did she?
Yeah, and again, she was a star. Was Barbara? She became quite a good friend with one of our chaps who used to refer to her as his guardian vampire, and they kept up a correspondence and met regularly in the last years of her life, which was lovely. Anyway, so 1961, Nigel Neal wrote the first script for what was going to be the Quatermass and the Pit film, and at that point it was intended to sober Brian Donlevy up and bring him back over the Atlantic to reprise the role, and Val Guest was going to direct. But there was difficulties getting the funding together because Hammer were in partnership with Columbia at that time, and Columbia had no interest in doing Quatermass. They were quite happy to do Dracula or Frankenstein or the Wolfman or the Mummy or whatever, but no, they drew the line at Quatermass, so they weren't going to have any of that. So they weren't just interested. And as a result, it took until 1967 before Quatermass and the Pit was filmed, by which point Nigel Neal had got his way and Brian Donlevy was quietly forgotten about. And Andrew Keir, Scottish actor who again was in there's one of the Hammer Draculas that he was in. I can't remember.
Prince of Darkness.
Thank you. It was. So he was
Shandor, what?
Oh yes, of course. Yep. I knew I recognised him, of course.
Yeah. Well, again, he was a big TV star and film star and all sorts. He cropped up a lot. And apart from Donlevy, he's the only person to have played Quatermass twice, because he did this film, Quatermass and the Pit, 1967. And then years and years later, he returned to the part to play him in the Quatermass memoirs, which was a BBC Radio 3 production, which combined new material recorded with Andrew Keir together with clips from the TV series, the Quatermass going over his life and that sort of business. That was 1996. So that was the last time that Nigel Neal wrote New Quatermass. So we've got Andrew Keir as Quatermass. We've got James Donald as Dr. Roney, who was sort of he wasn't a particularly young man, but he was a bit of an up-and-coming star at that time. We've got Barbara Shelley playing the female lead, conveniently called Barbara Judd. I don't know whether there's a connection there to Edward Judd, but Barbara Judd. And Julian Glover, the great Julian Glover, as Colonel Breen, the military guy.
Great actor, Julian Glover. Been in so much stuff.
Including Doctor Who twice.
Including Doctor Who.
But he's been in Star Wars, he's been in Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Bond, he's been in absolutely everything. Superb actor. Right, so, well, what's it about? Well, workers are excavating a big hole, a big pit, to build an extension to the London Underground, and they come across a strange skull. And so the paleontologist, Dr. Rooney, comes in and identifies it as a 5 million year old ape-men type skull. I'm reminded there was a Goon Show episode called The Scarlet Capsule, which was a parody of the original TV Quatermass and The Pit. This skull is 5 million years old. Happy birthday to you. Yeah.
You've got to love the Goons.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So 5 million year old ape man. And then they find this metallic object in the pit as well. Could it be an unexploded German bomb left over from World War II? Well, Professor Quatermass at the same time is discovering that his British experimental rocket group is being handed over basically to the military to control because they want to use it for Cold War purposes. And he's not happy with that at all. He's introduced to Colonel Breen, who is basically, in effect, going to be his boss, the military man brought in to take over the rocket group. And Breen is called in by the bomb disposal people to have a look at this thing that they've dug up in this pit. And he takes, basically just to keep him happy and to see if he can build up some sort of rapport with him. He takes Quatermass along with him. Come on, have a look at this thing we've dug up. And it's nothing to do with you because it won't be a rocket, but you come and have a look anyway because you might be interested. Well, they get there, and Breen is absolutely convinced that yes, this metallic object is a bomb. And then they find some more skulls inside the casing of this alleged bomb, which is 5 million years old. Well, so that must mean that this metal object is 5 million years old as well, because it's where these skulls are. Very puzzling. Well, Professor Quatermass immediately suggests it's a crashed alien spaceship from a long time ago, 5 million years, in fact. They do a bit of research around the area, and the area is where they're digging is called Hobbs Lane. And he and Rooney and Barbara discover that there's all sorts of a history of demonic and devilish apparitions and visions and all that sort of thing around Hobbs Lane. And hold on, isn't Hob an old-fashioned name for the devil? Whoa, there's a thing. So they start drilling into this object they found. And the drill has no effect at all, but then a hole starts appearing and it widens up. And these bodies of these three-legged insectoid creatures are found with little horned heads, pretty much looking like a load of demons.
Look very grasshopper-like as well, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Professor Quatermass and Rooney then decide that the best thing they can possibly do is go and tell the press all about it, which doesn't really please the government very much, who are quite cross about the whole thing, because they say, no, it's not aliens at all. How dare you go and tell the press that these are aliens? This is an unexploded German bomb. Of course it is. Fingers in ears, can't hear you.
The Germans have done it to make it look like there's aliens, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
It was the Germans.
German propaganda device.
Exactly.
Yeah. well, anyway, so Quatermass is convinced that basically this was a Martian. He's tied it to Mars. A Martian attempt to colonize the Earth. Then we get this story from the
chances of anything coming from Mars.
million to
There's a
one.
million to one, they
Million,
say.
million to one. Million to one. So the drill operator, Sladen. Now this is fun because
That was just a hand.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it was just a hand.
Yes. Now, the drill operator Sladen is played by Duncan Lamont. He was in Doctor Who once as well. Who was interestingly enough, he played the astronaut who turns into a vegetable. I know that sounds silly. In the original Quatermass and the Pit film. He plays that. Look, just look at the film. Don't take it that it's got to be rubbish because he turns into a vegetable. Turns into a cactus, to be fair, rather than a vegetable. Oh, move on. Anyway, so yes. So have
you been into my stash, sir?
No, I'm fine. So Sladen becomes overcome with this psychic force and has visions of hordes of these insect creatures popping along. And this is quite an effective little scene of this flashback of these Martians. Pop, 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 pop. Basically having some sort of genocidal riot on Mars millions of years ago. Rooney turns up with a machine that allows, rather marvelously, allows people to record the visions that they've seen in their brain. How useful is that? And he... I tell you what, that'd put the porn industry out of business, wouldn't it, PD? So he comes with this machine and records the thoughts of Barbara Shelley, because she's also under the influence of whatever's going on. And as I say, a genocidal race purge he sees that taking place on Mars 5 million or more years ago, where these little Martians are basically killing each other to wipe out the genetic imperfections and that sort of business. There seems to be a lot of sort of logical leaps here, basically because this is a 90-minute film based on a 6 times half-hour episode TV series. So there's a fair bit of editing to the story gone on to come up with the film. But that just makes it tighter and it works nicely. So Breen and the Minister, who is played by another Doctor Who actor, Edwin Richfield, Breen and the Minister dismiss the idea altogether. No, what a load of nonsense. How silly. Then a power line drops onto this buried spacecraft, as we now know it is, and there's a massive electric jolt goes through it, which increases its power, and the whole of London erupts into this manic, crazed killing spree. There are riots all over London. Breen is killed by the electricity. Go on, PD.
If you're watching that scene, Mike Reed ran around.
Yes.
Ran around.
Yes.
Yeah, he pops up in there.
He was a bit of a TV extra and stuntman in those days. He
Stuntman.
He did stunt work on Doctor Who, oddly enough, in the late 60s, early 70s. Yeah, and then became a stand-up comic and an actor. He is in that. So Breen is killed by the electricity. These riots are going on, and a giant figure of a Martian creature appears over London, sort of made of the electric and the fire and all that sort of thing. Professor Quatermass himself falls under the influence of the Martians, and all appears lost. He and Barbara are both under the influence and can just about manage to avoid starting killing people and that sort of thing, but all is basically lost. Now, some people don't seem to be affected, and Rooney is one of them, and he uses this big crane that's there. He figures that if he just actually puts this metal crane into this figure of the Martian, that will discharge the power of the Martian back into the Earth and everything will be fine. So he basically climbs up this crane, swings this crane round, there's a big and the Martian creature disappears. And Rooney sadly is killed, and the film ends with Professor Quatermass and Barbara wandering around the wreckage of London going, blimey, this is bad, and look at that lot. And that's the end of the film. Yeah. So, look, I absolutely adore Quatermass, and Nigel Neal, as I say, is a big personal hero, and especially for his grumpiness. And
You forgot to mention directed by Roy Ward Baker, who made
I
some
did. Yes,
great
yes.
Hammer films.
How stupid! Yes, of course I forgot to mention Roy Ward Baker, who was brought in because Val Guest wasn't available. He'd Roy Ward Baker at that point. Well, Val Guest was not available because he was busy directing Casino Royale, the spoof Bond film.
Oh, right.
So Roy Ward Baker was
thoroughly
brought
enjoy
in.
that film, and it gets
Yeah,
slated.
yeah, it's a great film.
I love it. I love it.
Roy Wood Baker had directed a few films, and then his career had gone into a bit of a decline, and he was mostly at this period directing TV episodes of things like The Saint and the ITC shows and so on.
Yeah.
And he was sort of brought back to film directing to direct Quatermass and The Pit, and made a great job of it, actually. Like I say, it is very much cut down from the original TV version. And if anybody would say to me, I want to watch Quatermass and The Pit, what should I watch? Should I watch the Hammer film or the TV? I'd say, well, have you got 3 spare hours? Because if you have, then watch the TV version because it's fabulous.
Yeah.
And Andre Morel is, from my mind, the best Quatermass, but a close second best is Andrew Keir. We had one more Quatermass TV series in 1979. It was on ITV because Nigel Neal, in true form, had fallen out with the BBC and spent the last years of his career writing for ITV. And it was John Mills as Quatermass in that, called just Quatermass, and it had a theatrical release as the Quatermass Conclusion. And that's worth seeing in either of its forms, but not quite reaching the heights of Quatermass and The Pit in either of its 2 forms. But there we are, and it's a proper science fiction. Is it? Or is it a horror film? Or is it a science fiction horror? I think it's a science. I think it's a science fiction.
Yeah, sci-fi, 100% sci-fi.
Yeah,
and it's excellent. It's superb, in fact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of Hammer's best.
Thank you for giving me the chance to talk about Quatermass and this film and all the rest of it, because it's lovely.
No, is everybody done?
Yeah.
Well, I've got another film, but no.
All right, no. So I mean, that's been we've had a few audio issues thanks to Dad.
Sorry,
but we've got it sorted. No, it's all right. We've got it sorted in the end.
He shouldn't have had those beans for his tea beforehand, should he?
Exactly. It was.
I don't eat beans. Beans are the devil.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's been a fantastic episode. It's been an honour to have Stephen Hatcher here.
Oh, it's been an utter pleasure. Utter pleasure.
You know, who's been listening to us from the start. He hasn't listened to all 82 episodes.
Not far off. Most of them.
Yeah, you'll listen to most of them. And it's been a pleasure having you on. It's been a great episode. And we'll have to have you on again when we.
I would love to.
Definitely.
You know, because it's been good crack, and you know our sense of humour, so you've been able to dive into that, which is always good. So I'd like to thank you for being here.
My
it's been
pleasure.
a British Sci-Fi, our first British Sci-Fi special. There'll probably be more, I'm sure.
Do I get to do a plug?
Do I get to do a plug?
Yeah. Hooverville, my Doctor Who convention. Hooverville 15 next year in Derby on the 31st of August. Tickets available from derbyquad.co.uk. That's Derby Quad, QUAD. And we've got some great Doctor Who guests lined up for next year. And so tickets available. Come on down, Derby.
Excellent. So there you go. Get yourself down to the Derby Quad next year for Hooverville 15. And you'll get to meet this handsome young chap here, Stephen Hatcher, my old teacher. And it's been a pleasure, and thank you all. So from me, it's good night. From Daz, I'm sure it's good night, and the same from what?
Yeah.
And the same from Steve.
Good night.
So we'll be back to you sometime soon. Thank you all. Good night. God bless.